Again, everybody, welcome to the first generation panel Road to the Hill event for tonight, which is Monday, July the 18th of 2022. I'd like to go into introduce myself. My name is Connie Kugel. I am the director of the TRIO Student Support Services and Opportunity Programs on campus, and I also work with CAP students. My main job is as far as for those working with students from those particular categories. A number of those students are first generation low income or students with disabilities. And we are trying to go in to give opportunity and access to students to be able to gain the resources and assistance that they need throughout their time at Seton Hill so that they are able to go and to be successful and walk across that stage and for years to obtain that degree. We will also be going and having some of our panelists this evening. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and to turn it over to our three panelists this evening to introduce themselves with their name, the year, major, what are some of the things that they're involved in on campus. And also one of the fun things that we always like to do in these events is to ask a fun question of as far as panelists or individuals who are involved. And we're going to ask everybody as far as the fact that Pennsylvania is known for their chocolate factories and companies, as far as Mars and especially Hershey being. And then we also have a lot of hometown and also regional chocolate companies. And we're curious to find out as far as what is everybody's favorite chocolate company, who makes the best. So again, just to kind of put my 2 cents in, as far as that particular question, I'm from the Beaver County area here in Pennsylvania, and my hometown of New Brighton has the Rosalind Candy Castle, and that's my favorite chocolate company besides Hershey's, but those are the two that my top 2. So at this time, I'd like to go into start with Sarah Weathers. Sarah, will you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Sarah. I am a junior LECOM biochemistry major with a minor in forensic science. I am the president of Chemistry Club. I'm also an orientation leader. As far as being involved around campus, I am also in several other clubs that are available. And as far as my favorite chocolate, I no longer can have chocolate. So for non-dairy, it's No Way. That's literally the brand, I promise. But as far as like actual chocolate goes, I love Dove chocolate. So
awesome. Thank you so much. And you are also an orientation leader, correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Beata Layton.
All right. Hi, everybody. I am heading into my senior year as a criminal justice major here at Seton Hill. I also serve as an orientation leader alongside of Sarah. So that means her and I are both involved in getting your welcome weekend plans, hanging out with you guys when you first head into classes. Other involvement on campus, I don't do too much. I'm part of the Outdoors Club and the Criminal Justice Club, and I am also a commuter student. As far as chocolate is concerned, I grew up in Trafford. We had Sherm Edwards chocolate for the longest time, which has merged into Edward Marks chocolate, and they also own the Milkshake Factory. So I'm throwing it out to Edward Marks as the best chocolate.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. And Chloe King.
Again, my name is Chloe King. I'm also a criminal justice major here at Seton Hill. I was a history major, but decided I wanted to switch it up. So my minors are in history and sociology, 2 of my greatest passions. I am the president of 2 clubs here at Seton Hill, Go Schools and Grizzly Murders. It's like a conspiracy-based club if you're into that. And also our lounge sports club, which we play pool, ping pong, foosball, darts, but we're working on getting some of that stuff set back up this year. So I know it's going to be a little bit of a slow start. So hopefully we can get that going. And as far as the chocolate goes, I'm from the Uniontown area in Fayette County. So I'm a big Jean and Boots fan. So if you want to try Jean and Boots, it's in the Westmoreland Mall. When you get to the hill, take the shuttle.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Chloe. I appreciate it. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with our questions for our panelists this evening. So, ladies, I'm curious about if you could tell us what brought you to Seton Hill. And Chloe, since you were the last one, we're going to go ahead and get started with, have you start with that one.
Okay. Honestly, I was all over the place when I first came to college. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I'm also a first generation college student. So I was sitting in the same Zoom meeting last year thinking I had no idea what was going on, which was true, but I got there. So I originally wanted to come to Seton Hill because it was close to home. It's a 40-minute drive roughly, but I wanted to do forensic science because I was interested in shows like Criminal Minds and I love working with law. And then I realized that's too much. So I went to history and then I thought, well, I'm not enjoying that either. But Seton Hill for me just has this charm. Like when I first looked at it, like when I wanted to come to Seton Hill, it just looks like home. And that's why I always think we call it home on the hill because it really is home on the hill. So charm, and probably there's a lot of amazing people that work on campus. Campus has a great reputation across the state. You tell someone you're going to Seton Hill, they pretty much know what you're talking about most of the time. So I think there's just a lot of benefits, but definitely the charm and being close to home.
Great. And that's something as far as when you find that place, as far as being small and welcoming and, close to home, it's always a good thing. So Beata, what was your, reason for coming to Seton Hill?
So like all of you, I'm also a first generation college student. That's why we're all here tonight. My parents are local business owners, so there was a lot of pressure from them to carry on the family legacy. I always wanted to do my own thing. So I didn't have a lot of guidance as far as parents go for looking at schools, how the whole process worked. I actually applied to college super late, like maybe a month or two before I graduated high school even. Didn't think it was going to go anywhere, but Seton Hill was always that school up on the hill that we would pass by in mom and dad's car and, oh, what's that building? That's the college. So I always associated Seton Hill is the college. It must be the college I go to. But it turned out that way and I absolutely love it.
Great, thank you. Sarah?
So my journey to Seton Hill actually goes back to when I was a junior in high school. My AP Bio teacher nominated me for the Women in Science Scholarship. Up until that point, I was set on going to Pitt because I wanted to go into pre-med and then continue through med school there. But as soon as I came to Seton Hill, I absolutely loved it. And I got to meet some of the science faculty, and in particular, the forensic science professor. She made a huge impact on me because I left the school having no idea what I wanted to do anymore because I was like, I don't know if I should go into medicine or forensic science. So like over my senior year of high school, I decided that I wanted to go into forensic pathology. And it ended up working out that I got into the early acceptance program with LECOM, and Seton Hill is an affiliated school and also has a forensic science minor. So it just all worked out perfectly. And aside from that, I absolutely love the environment of the campus. It's so welcoming. And I just love it.
And I'm sure that I could speak for everybody here. We hope that once you get here, if you haven't already, from coming and visiting, or as far as doing just coming around campus, that we hope that you love it also. Next question that I have is, did you have any fears or concerns about coming to college? Either beforehand or even once you got here, because there's always that possibility that there's still some fears that people might have. Let's start with you, B.
Yeah, for sure. So I think my main fear was, am I going to fit in? Am I going to find friends here? In high school, I kind of always felt like, one of the outcasts, didn't have too many friends. I felt like when I walked into lunch, I could feel everybody staring at me. That was quickly erased. That definitely is not a thing here at Seton Hill. And if you're feeling that way, talk to someone, we can work through it. Aside from that, I was wondering about, am I going to like the major that I chose? I originally entered as a history and education major. It turned out that was not the path I needed to be on. So with some help from people on campus, I was able to turn that around. I entered the criminal justice major, and it's been pretty much smooth sailing ever since. So I think just finding a purpose and kind of grounding myself, realizing that this isn't a place of judgment like your public or private school may have been. And this is a good place to learn, be involved, and really find family.
Thank you. Sarah, how about you?
I feel like for me, I was definitely worried about fitting in. I was also someone who did not have a ton of friends in high school. And after graduating, I didn't really talk to them, especially with being a 2020 graduate. And I was just super worried about my major as well. I have one of the hardest majors on campus. And I knew that going into my college career. But in high school, I was always a 4.0 or above student, always strive for perfection. So coming to college, I was like, I know it's going to be completely different. What if I fail? What if I actually can't like go into the career that I want? And like my high school teachers just liked me and they were just like basically pitying me. I don't know. So I feel like that was my biggest thing, is that like, can I actually do this? And it turns out I can't, as I'm going into my junior year.
And you've done amazing things and everything, Sarah. So Chloe, how about you?
I would definitely say I had a ton of fears coming in because I was so over the place. I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. But mainly my thing was like money and financials, because my parents don't have a lot of money. So it was, figure out if I'm taking a loan from this place or this place. And Seton Hill definitely helps with, tuition cuts, housing cuts, the scholarships they can hand out, the services we have to help low income students. Those definitely help and took a lot of that away. And then another thing I worry about is I have anxiety. So I was like, are there resources on campus? Do I need to go outside of campus to find something? But thankfully, we have a great disability services here at campus, and the counselors are amazing all the time. And you can always reach out to someone. And honestly, after the first couple months, my fears were like dissolved, because everyone at Seton Hill is just so loving and caring for everyone in the way that it's like almost a 90s college movie where no one really has any idea what's going on, but everyone's happy.
And that's right. I mean, everybody says hello to each other, whether they know you or not. And that's some of the charm about Seton Hill, that we know and love. So I'm kind of curious as far as what were your first impressions about Seton Hill, and was it everything that you thought that it would be, or was it even more or less? And let's start with B.
Okay, so this might be kind of a different one. I've never been particularly religious, so I had this preconceived notion that Seton Hill was super staunch Catholic. If you aren't Catholic, you're going to have a problem. You're not allowed to be different, anything like that. That was certainly not the case. This is one of the most accepting places I've ever found of people of all faiths or no faith, people of all walks of life, sexuality, gender, it doesn't matter. This is a super inclusive place that doesn't tolerate any variety of hate whatsoever. So yeah, it definitely turned out to be a lot better than I expected.
Great. Sarah, how about you?
I feel like for me, my first impression really came back to like my junior year in high school, and how everybody was so welcoming of all these high school girls just coming in, taking over for the day. But coming in as a student, it was during the middle of the pandemic. So it was definitely an odd transition into college, and feeling very isolated from like a lot of services and activities on the campus. But through Zoom, everybody was so welcoming and really understanding of like what we were going through at the time, and made sure we felt as comfortable as possible. And so I feel like with that, everybody went above and beyond to welcome like the incoming class and make us feel like as normal as possible and how they would in previous years. And I thought that was really cool because a lot of campuses didn't do that to make their students feel like special, how everybody else does.
And you're so right about that. The university wanted to try to make it as normal of a possibility as we could going through something like that, because that is a part of our a part of our pillars and who we are, what our mission is about, and being student centered. It's good to hear that you feel that it was a good transition and very welcoming, even though we were under some extenuating circumstances at that time, which is good. And Chloe, how about you?
Honestly, my first experience with Seton Hill is I had actually accepted and paid my dues to the college and then toured because I just knew I wanted to be at Seton Hill. So whether I liked it or not, I was here. But when I took my tour with my tour guide, it was like heaven. I loved it. I just loved how the atmosphere was on campus because it's kind of like historic feeling, but it's also modern in some areas. It's not just like you live in a church or like you live in a apartment complex. It's kind of mixed depending on where you get put in your residence hall. I wouldn't say there's a bad residence hall on campus. I've only seen a couple of them like with my own eyes, but they're pretty good. I've definitely seen worse. So that's a plus for anyone thinking about that. But my first real experience is when I came to buy my books from the bookstore before I came to campus and moved in because I had no idea how to get to the bookstore. So I'm walking around campus and I asked this woman for help. And she tells me, you have to go to the Harry Potter looking building. And that's all she said to me. And I'm like, okay, I love Harry Potter. I can do this. And I got lost again. And they're like, you have to go in the spire of the building. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, wow, these people helped me. So maybe it's going to be okay. And then it's like that the entire year you're on campus. If you're lost, just ask someone. Like everyone says, you say hi to everyone, whether you know them or not, or you give them that little smile walking through the hallways. So it's definitely a good place to be.
Great. So sometimes people, the transition from high school to college can be as far as a challenge. Sometimes it's as far as the possibility of being away from home for the first time. And then sometimes it's as far as, academics, not knowing what to expect from going from high school where 80% of your learning is done in the classroom compared to college where it's probably 20% happening in the classroom and 80% outside of the classroom where you're going to be doing reading and those type of things. So what are some key academic tips related to classes and working with the faculty on campus that you can go and share with everybody that's either here, for the event or that might be watching at a later time? Chloe, why don't you go ahead and start?
Sure. The biggest thing I was afraid to do is reaching out to professors like after class. I promise you, every professor loves when you go to their office hours. They will appreciate it so much because that time is carved out for you to go or to send an email or even just stop by and say hi. Like maybe you don't have anything special to do that day and you're like, I'm going to go bug this professor for some reason. I need someone to talk to. They will always let you in if they are able to. The other thing is find people to study with. In high school, I did everything by myself, but in college, sometimes getting yourself to function, when you're reading 2 chapters of a history book, it's not always the most entertaining thing in the world, even though you picked your major. And just find someone to study with to hold you accountable that you can schedule breaks with and talk to so you're not just looking at your phone. And then definitely reach out to your fellow classmates because if you don't know something, they might know something, or you're all going to know nothing. And then you got to send that email.
Thank you. B, how about you?
Yeah, so I would also say getting to know your professors, especially if you happen to have one who's also an advisor of yours, really forming a good and appropriate relationship with them. I have some health concerns that don't necessarily reach the point of going to the Office of Disabilities and setting up a plan, but sometimes do require me to miss class or step out take some time away. So having a face-to-face relationship with my professors helps me to shoot a quick email. Hey, not feeling well, I'm going to be about 15 minutes late. Getting the leniency that I need sometimes. And that'll help you out in other situations as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing, your personal, experience and everything. So thank you. Sarah, how about you?
I have to agree with talking to your professors, particularly. I'm very close with a lot of them. Over my 2 years of being a student, I have formed very good relationships with a lot of the science professors, especially because I will have them multiple times throughout my academic career. So don't be afraid to go talk to them. They are people too. You don't have to treat them just as a professor. You can ask them how they're doing. Be personable with them, because at the end of the day, they're also people like we are. So they enjoy talking about other things than just their job and the courses that they're teaching. As far as studying, like I said earlier, I was a straight A student. I pretty much just skated by without having to really study for anything. So coming to college for my freshman year, I was like, oh, this is pretty easy. Basically a repeat of stuff I took in high school. When I hit my sophomore year, I was like, oh no, I can't do that anymore. So once you get into your higher level classes, you may think you're okay, but you're actually not. So just make sure you take the time to actually study and know the material, because once you get into those higher level courses, it's not just like high school where you're like, oh, I've taken this before, because you haven't, and you have no idea how exams are going to be, or even just how the course load is going to be. So definitely make sure you have time to work on everything without feeling like you're cramming or forgetting to do something. Because despite how we all think about some classes, everything is important, and you don't want to push one under the rug, basically, gloss over it. So you have to treat everything like it's just as important as another class.
That's so true. And one of the things that we always are trying to encourage students is be open-minded, to as far as the fact that sometimes as far as your study, the way in which you have studied in the past may not work for all classes, and also for all parts of a subject. And so sometimes trying new strategies and new techniques can be helpful for you to be, to be as far as, successful, in that course. And something that kind of ties into that is as far as going and being an advocate for yourself and seeking out that help that you might need. So I'm just kind of curious about what might be some of the resources on campus where that have helped you, as a first generation student, or just as a student in general, to throughout that time, whenever you're uncertain or you're having some challenges academic wise. And then how did you go about navigating those various resources on campus? B, let's start with you.
Yeah, for sure. So the Academic Achievement Center is absolutely fantastic. I found myself in a situation a few years ago where it wasn't that I couldn't put in the work. It was for whatever reason, what was going on in my life, it was very difficult for me to make school a priority. I actually went in, sat down with them, and we had a really good conversation and kind of picked at why I wasn't doing what I needed to do, what roadblocks were in the way of preventing me from accomplishing the things I knew I needed to get doing. And that was really helpful. We worked on a little plan, like, okay, as a commuter, instead of just going home after class, going to Reeves and sitting down in an academic environment to work on the stuff. And that was something super helpful for me that I may not have figured out on my own without reaching out to someone.
Thank you. Chloe, how about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree with B on the like sitting in the academic environment. That helped me so much at the end of freshman year because I would be the person I always studied in my dorm, which is a downfall because you end up laying in bed or playing on your phone. And we all do it. It's okay. But definitely going to the library helps so much because not only do you have the big common space where we have like comfy chairs or the desks, there's those quiet rooms we have on campus too that are good. Like I said earlier, if you want to study with friends, even if you guys aren't the same major, you're still in there and you know that it's time to like be focused and get your work done. But other than that, I would say I'm more familiar with disability services because I did do a lot of counseling last year. It really helped me as a student just to be able to talk to someone without feeling like, oh, maybe, she's going to tell this professor that. Not that I think the professors would gossip on campus, but it's a lot more private of a scenario.
Wonderful. Thank you. Sarah, how about you?
Personally, I have not used many services. I feel like my biggest one that I have used even recently has been financial aid. Just making sure like all my loans are going through, especially private loans that I have to use to pay off my tuition and other aspects like books and things like that. But it was a big step for me to actually reach out to professors when I needed help. So I think my biggest thing is actually going to professors directly, because I feel like I have like good study strategies since I pretty much conditioned myself for college as far as what I did in high school, as far as classes go. Um, but I think as far as other resources, they're very good and very available for anybody who needs them. Personally, I'm not super familiar with them, but I have heard amazing things about everything.
Wonderful. Thank you. I want to go and just to stress to everybody that's on here or might be watching at a later time, my office door is always open. You are more than welcome to come visit me in 501 admin on the 5th floor. If you're not sure where to start, what to do, who to see, don't hesitate to ever go and reach out to me. Come see me, drop by. If you just start putting CK and then you CKU and then my name should come up and everything. I'm always here as a person that you can come to, and that I'm here to help you, and making sure that we get you to where you need to be, or if I can even be the person that could be kind of like your go-to person, my door's open. Don't hesitate to come and see me. Okay. I also want to kind of just to kind of see, it's always good to be an advocate for yourself, but we also need to have that kind of support. So where were you able to go and establish a support system that has helped you throughout your time at Seton Hill? And who and what parts of your support, who are and what are parts of your support system, I should say. Sarah, we'll start with you.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I feel like the entire campus is just one huge support system. But specifically for myself, going into my first year, I feel like my family definitely was like the first people to really support me. And then coming on campus, I had plenty of professors, including this past year, and many of them who I said I'm very close with now. They're definitely in there. And also Rosalie, the vice president, she was my connections mentor as a freshman. So being able to have someone with such power on campus be there for me and like my friends and everything else, it was really nice to know that like higher ups on campus are there and working with students closely and they actually care about you. And I had become very close with her as well. So everybody that I've made connections with, I feel like they became stronger the more time that I spent at Seton Hill. And I feel like a lot of them I can go to with anything and know that if they can't help me, someone else can. and they will direct me to them. And all of them have supported me throughout my academics, and just made sure I'm doing okay in general.
Wonderful. Thank you. Chloe, how about you?
Yeah. So I feel like the first one I really developed at Seton Hill was with my RA from last year, because I am a resident student, because I'd moved in early because I wasn't completely vaccinated. So it was just me and her on the floor. So, it was kind of hard being by yourself most of the time because she was in RA training at that time. I can't fault her on that. But after that, it was like we build the bond with the RAs, and then it went to like the different people on the floor, because they would have you do like floor events where you get to meet all the people and then hang out, and you eventually like grow really close with those people. You see them in class, you see them when you're brushing your teeth or trying to do your laundry and someone leaves it in there too long, but you get over that. And then I feel like the next one is definitely with my professors. My favorite professor I had last year was Tony Krismarzik. He's the head of our campus ministry. And I said earlier about going and bugging your professors. He was definitely when I was always in his office, because his office is right next to our campus ministry lounge, which is also a great place to study. But I just feel like Tony's really open. You can always go to him. He's such a positive person too. Like if you're having a hard time, he will tell you one joke and you'll be like, okay, I'm ready to go back. I'm good.
Thank you. B, how about you?
Yeah, I'd say my support system mostly comes from friends, some family, my fiance especially. On campus, definitely the other orientation leaders and folks I sit near in class. When you're in high school and you have a problem, you typically go to your parents because they get it. This teacher gave me a C and I felt I deserved to be, and whatever it is. But when you go to your parents about a college thing and they've never gone to college and you say, oh, my credits aren't, I need 3 more from liberal arts and 6 more from this, they have no idea what the heck you're talking about. So there's a lot of, oh, well, I can tell that's stressing you, but I have no idea how to help you with that. So advisors, especially, like Chloe said, I don't typically tend to drop in and bug my professors too much, but this last year, my advisor won't be teaching any of my courses and I'm really going to miss her. So I'll probably lean on her a lot for support and trying to figure out what I want to do after school.
Great, thank you. So we're coming down to our last question and everything, and I'm kind of curious, looking back on your journey, whether it's 3 years, 2 years, 1 year of being here on campus. I'm kind of curious of what piece of advice will you give to yourself during your first year at Seton Hill looking back? So let's start with B. Why don't we go ahead and start with you?
Yeah, for sure. So the biggest thing I would say, don't overschedule yourself. I mean, you've probably already had your orientation at this point and you've created your class schedule. If you were like me in your first year, you wanted to blow everybody out of the water and schedule 19, 20 credits and have 2 majors and a certificate and just be the greatest student who has ever studented. If that becomes too much for you, don't be afraid to tell somebody. I did the same and it ended up really, really messing with my mental health. Aside from that, I would say don't be afraid to become who you want to become and the person who you are. I entered college very much with the same attitude I carried in high school, trying to be kind of an edgy teen who didn't care about anyone. And, oh, you want to pray? No, we're not going to do that. And I just had this gross attitude, like I was better than anybody. But you can really become who you'd like to be and become the person that you want to see moving forward. You don't have to stick with what your high school friends are doing or even what friends you make on campus are doing. You can be your own person. And this is really the best time to experiment with personalities and change your clothes, change your hair up, do whatever you want to do to really become you, because come on, when else are you going to do it?
Thank you. Great advice. Sarah, how about you? I think my biggest thing is to not be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. In high school, I was very much like, go to school, do my work, go home, don't do anything else. But I also didn't go to a school where they really encouraged a lot of involvement unless you were in sports or popular, and I was neither of those. So when I got to campus, I was like, this is a fresh start, clean slate. I'm going to make the most of it. So my first year, I joined a bunch of clubs. And then I ended up becoming the president of chemistry club. I became an orientation leader, which I never thought I would do because I was so quiet and I was like, ew, people, no, can't do it. And then I also became a tutor, and I was like, I never thought I would be a tutor. I've always doubted myself, but to have such amazing people on campus that really support you, um, and they kind of steer you in the right direction, even if you don't realize it. So I also think don't be afraid to like reach out to people on campus, get close to faculty because they see something in you that you don't see, even if you don't think they're right. You're like, no, I don't know what they're talking about. They're right. They always are right when it comes to that kind of stuff. So just trust the people around you and trust yourself to do what's right for yourself.
Great, really great advice. Chloe, how about you?
For me, my biggest piece of advice I'd want to give myself and anyone else is don't get too caught up in the I'm in college excuse. You can have fun while being in college, and you can also be successful in other things while being in college. I was the person who hermited in her dorm room because she thought she had to study for 6 hours and couldn't go do anything, but you can definitely go to this event and come back. It'll definitely make studying easier for you. So don't just get hung up on this. I have to do this and go to sleep. Like I think both Sarah and B have said, this isn't high school. You can change things up as much as you want to.
Great, thank you. So at this time, I'd like to kind of open it up to all of our guests that are here this evening to ask questions. You can put them into the chat box, or you can turn on your camera and microphone and be able to go and ask our panelists questions at this time. Do we have any questions? Or if any of you have, any of the panelists have any other comments that you'd like to make at this point, please feel free to go ahead and jump in. Any questions? Don't be shy. There's no, as I always say, there is no question that cannot be asked. And we say that there's no dumb questions. The only dumb question is the ones that aren't being asked. So we do ask, say, don't be shy to go and to ask questions. We're here. And again, if you don't have any questions at this time, a lot of times questions do happen to pop up at later dates and times, and you are free to go into reach out to myself, to pose those questions. I will go and I will put my email address into the chat box, and you can feel free. I almost started putting my personal email in there. I didn't need to go and make sure because my personal is the same as my, did that go out to everybody? Okay, I just want to make sure that it did because I'm not seeing too much as far as the chat. So maybe there is, I'm not seeing anything. Okay. But don't hesitate to go and to reach out to me. You're more than welcome to. As I said earlier, my door is always open. Just to kind of give you a little bit of information about myself, I am a low-income first-generation student also. I grew up, in a family of 7 kids. For a number of years, my family lived in, converted an old barn into our house. So our family had only 1 bedroom. So we, 6 of us lived in the loft area of the barn until my dad was able to save the money to go and to add an addition on to put some additional rooms onto the house. So, I come from meager beginnings and everything, but if it wasn't for excuse me, my parents going and encouraging each and every one of us to get some type of additional education, I definitely would not be where I am today. So there is a lot of us that are, as far as very similar backgrounds as what you may have, and we're here to go and help you through this process and to make sure that we're helping you. Going back to like the question that we had in regards to as far as the resources and everything, I always say that each of our journeys is and our lives are like a puzzle, and every single thing that you do in life kind of adds to that puzzle to make the whole picture of who you are. And while you're here at Seton Hill, you need to look at yourself as the centerpiece of that puzzle, and that you, to get to the whole picture later on in life and everything, you have to go in to have those extra pieces that come in and off of you, your centerpiece and everything, to help to support you and to get you through your journey. And that could be your resources. It could be your RAs. It could be as far as your orientation leaders like B and Sarah, and the many others that you may go and come in contact with. And then also as far as, just to go in to make sure that you have that strong team, your family, your friends, as far as your coaches that you may have if you are an athlete. And then also, so many of your professors, your RAs, and also the people in the offices around campus also. So those pieces are interchanging, because at different parts of your life, you need different people. So again, those pieces and those puzzle pieces are going to be so important to go into make sure you're assessing who do you need close to you and who can you put a little bit further out from you in order to make sure that you're getting through what you might be going through at this point in time. So one of the things, again, that I just want to go and say that I'm a resource for you. My office, again, is the 5th floor of admin in room 501. I encourage you to come up and see me, introduce yourself. I want to welcome all of you to come see me. If you do, I'll have a gold puzzle piece pin that I will give to you as a reminder to go into, keep stock as far as who are you connected to, who are you needing right now to be connected to you in order to help you on your journey. And then also, we will be going and having, as far as, another first generation session prior to the start of Welcome Weekend after moving in. And so it'll be on Friday, the 19th. I'll get the date and time, and I'll make sure that I send that out to everybody. But I want to go and just let everyone know that that session's coming up. And if you can't get up to see me, and if you can come to that particular session, we'll definitely have some puzzle piece pins there, and we'll be able to go into pass that on to you at that time. If you do, want to go and to have that. So again, do we have any questions from as far as our guests that are here for this evening or in the chat?
There's been a question in the chat from a student. They don't have a lot of support at home. They are going for the arts, and it's kind of a tough love situation for them. So I'd like to touch on that, just because my family isn't necessarily thrilled about my major. Like I said earlier, they're small business owners, and it was always their vision that I carried that on. That's just something I have no interest in. So you might be in a similar situation where your parents envisioned something for you, and you know that it's not going to make you happy to follow that route. You are here because you know in your heart that this is what you want to do, and you know the person that you can become once you walk across that stage and you have that diploma and you have all the experiences and wonderful memories of being at Seton Hill. I would encourage you to just surround yourself with love and people who get it. So people within your major, of course, that's a great place to start. They're all artsy people just like you. They all understand the importance of art and the role of the artist in our society. I feel like a lot of people tend to miss out on that, or art is stupid, it's not a real career, whatever. None of that matters. You're here because you know it's important to you. You can surround yourself with the staff as well. Attend the galleries, attend the showings of, the paintings, and go to musical recitals. Just surround yourself with the things that you love, because there are like-minded people around you. And I just encourage you to, whatever you're hearing from home, I'm sure it's with love, but you are your own person and you are going to make it through this 4 years and have a wonderful time if you just keep what's in your heart close to you and follow that.
Thank you so much, B. I appreciate you sharing that. And again, going and having, as far as individuals there to kind of go into, to go and to support you, to help you through that is going to be so important. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see here. It doesn't look like there's too many more. Let's see here. I also want to go and just to again, if you have anything later on that comes up, or if you have some other questions, I'm sure that in the next several different weeks and everything, and also for Welcome Weekend and when you start classes, there is always that possibility that B and Sarah may be, as far as in your connections class and everything, because they may be the orientation leader that may be assigned to your connections class. So you may see these ladies again, but if not, you have wonderful other orientation leaders that might be assigned to you, that you'll be meeting with one-on-one, and again to help you through some of those questions and that you may have. So again, don't feel that tonight is the only night you can ask questions. Again, you have my email address. Reach out to me. I'll go and try to answer them. And if I feel that it could be a potential something for as a student, as far as like Chloe, B, and Sarah, we'll definitely, get those out to the ladies and see if they would be more than willing to maybe answer those questions, or to set up some time to maybe talk with you and help you, through those questions that you might be having. So again, tonight is not the end. We're going to be here to support you and to help you throughout your time at Seton Hill. All of you, since you are as first generation students, I want to go and let you know is your name is on my list to send out information about the TRIO Student Support Services program on campus. Again, is a federally funded program that works with about 170 students across campus that are low income, first generation and or disabled students, to go in to make sure that they're getting academic and personal support throughout the time that they're at Seton Hill. They get academic coaches. They also have, as far as some additional amazing benefits. So I'll be sending out some information about the program and also an application if you're interested in making application and seeing about going and being a part of the program and getting connected with other students that are of similar backgrounds that you might be in, or as far as similar majors. This could be as far as a support network for you also. So all of you will be receiving, as far as those applications within the next week, via email for you to go and to review the information about the program, and then getting it back to me for me to process, and hopefully you could go and become a part of the TRIO Student Support Services program. Okay. Any last minute questions that anybody has? Okay. If not, let's go and I'm going to take off as far as and go to the gallery view at this point. If everybody could go and turn on as far as their cameras real quick, so we can kind of see your smiling faces and we can go and take a picture of as far as all that are in attendance, I'd appreciate it. so that way we can kind of see who is here and also be able to pass that on to Matt Zielinski, who's in charge of new and transfer students. So if you could turn on your cameras, that would be helpful. And we would love to see ya. Hi, Rachel. It's so good to see you. What a smiling face. We love to see that. Hi, Zach. Thank you so much for coming. Lindsay, Nicole, Sarah, Morgan, Raquetta, we are grateful for all of you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm loving that hoodie. And I like that background there, Zach. So thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take it. I don't know if Nicole, Lindsay, or Morgan's able to turn on their cameras or not, but we're going to go ahead and take a picture and everything. So if everybody could say cheese on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. We got it. Thank you. I'm going to take one more just to be safe. And again, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate it. I'll be turning off the recording at the very end of this session. And again, if you have any specific individual questions, you can stay on and possibly ask our panelist or myself. I want to thank you so much for coming this evening. And thank you to our student leader panelists, B, Sarah, and Chloe. I appreciate you all sharing your journey so far on the Hill, and also as far as what you could go into give as some advice to all those that are going to be starting in a few weeks. Again, there will be shoe swag for the students that attend any 3 sessions through the summer. You'll get an email from Road to the Hill when you arrive in August to pick up your swag. And I just want to go and also to provide you with as far as some up and coming events that will be happening. You can view on the website for roadtothehill.setonhill.edu or on the Road to the Hill flyers that you should have received. And also you can find these on Shine. I just want to go in to remind you that at 6 p.m. on July 20th, there'll be a transfer student panel. So if any of you are transfer students, we would love to have you join in on that session. And the last one will be on July 27th at 7 p.m., preparing for the next steps. So it's basically going and giving you an idea of what steps you need to take for going and getting yourself here and moving in, and what's going to be happening once you get here. So again, that's July 20th for transfer student panel, and July 27th at 7 p.m. for preparing for the next steps. Again, I want to say thank you so much for coming this evening and being a part of our panel, and also as far as being a part of our discussion this evening. I hope that every one of you have a great rest of your summer, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you hopefully at the first generation session on August the 19th. And again, I believe that's at 1:30 in the afternoon. And again, I'll send out information about that once we get the confirmation of everything, room, location, those type of things. So again, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to be stopping as far as the recording at this time. And have a great evening.